Okay guys, welcome to Module 3. So outside of knowing your contracts, we're gonna talk about knowing your numbers. Super important. This is what I'm gonna go through is probably, well, it is the most important things that you can know. Knowing your numbers will make and break you in your investment wholesale business. A lot of people only take one deal for them, one deal that goes sideways for them to lose everything or for them not to want to do this anymore. So I'm gonna try to go into deep detail as possible with a lot of these things. Take notes and let's go through it. First one I'm gonna start with is knowing your current value of the house. And this comes with pulling comps, right? So when you're pulling comps, if you have an agent that can help you through the process, if you don't have MLS access, find your agent that you can talk with that can help you run numbers and know its current value, the as-is value. Me, when I'm pulling comps, I like to go a year. I would start a subdivision, then quarter mile and a half mile out. And I'm gonna look at everything that's sold, everything that's active and everything that's pending. So in other words, I'm looking at everything, okay? When I'm looking at it, I'm gonna get similar size homes, plus or minus that 20%, you know, within 7 to 10 years built, things of that nature. I'm gonna pull them homes and then I'm gonna look at the actual ones that's in that current condition as my subject property. You know, for example, old grandma house. I'm gonna look at all the other houses that look kind of similar, you know, old wooden paneling, you know, old floorings, old fixtures, things of that nature. And I'm gonna see what they're selling for in the current condition that is in. And that's gonna give you at least the current value of what the home is worth if it was thrown on an open market in the condition that it's in. And it's like, again, it's not fixed up, it's just the current condition, okay? Next, what we're gonna talk about is knowing your rehab and just knowing the rehab in general, right? Knowing what's needed on the rehab. Super important. The risk is in the rehab, okay? Now understand this right here will make and break your business immediately if you don't understand rehabs. And the reason why I say this is because of the fact that if you're out here wholesaling deals and you can't get your rehab on point, you know, investors are not gonna take you too serious, okay? So what I suggest what a lot of you guys do for at least your first couple of deals, if you know some contractors that can take the time, that can walk you through a couple of houses, that can help you understand what it's gonna take to get it to point A to point B, that'd be really helpful for you, right? Go to Home Depot, find you some good contractors, you know, or drive through the neighborhood, you see any houses being worked on, stop into that house. The same way how we talked about doing door knocks, do a door knock on the house that's being rehabbed. Go in there and talk to the contractor. It could let you see good work, they will see what good work is, and also it's gonna let you see what bad work is also too, because not all of them do really good work. But it'll help you find contractors. Let them know what you're doing. You don't want to burn any bridges with contractors having to continuously go through houses, and you can't, and you're not giving them any kind of work. So let them know what you're doing. Be transparent. If you're not buying any rehabs whatsoever, just let them know, like, hey, I'm just wholesaling these houses back out to investors. Maybe you can put together your bid in your packet, and when I send it out, I can put your bid in my email. There you go, that's a good idea. So now you're just not even making up numbers. I just did that on the fly for you. So, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb. Like, hey, this property is 30 grand for rehab. I got a contractor bid in there for 30 grand too also, so you can see the breakdown of the work of what I'm talking about. So now you're gonna have less pushback because now you got a licensed and bonded contractor that's in there that walked the house for you too also. But the rehab is very important that you know. Very important that you know, because again, it's gonna make it break your business if you don't. The next one, ARV, after repair value. This is the fun part. So now you get to see what the house is worth, okay? You wanna match apples with apples, oranges with oranges. These houses that's getting top price per square foot, you wanna see what they did. You know, if they got gold fixtures and, you know, wood paneling on the wall and they still getting that price point, that's the same thing that you wanna, these are the homes that you wanna pick out. You wanna see why they sold the way they sold. Okay, every house has a story. Every house has its own story, and you want to look and see if they got updated fixtures, windows, doors, everything is, you know, walls blown out. You want to make your current rehab budget to be able to adjust for that. Like, hey, blowing out walls, you put in these kind of fixtures, we doing this kind of flooring, a new roof, HVAC, things of that nature. Just because of the fact of you want to have enough in your budget to be able to get what them other homes are getting. So you want to make sure that you do that, okay? ARV is super important. Again, you want to always start in the same subdivision. If you don't have any, you want to go a quarter mile, half mile out without crossing any major thoroughfares. Some people like to go back 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. I like to go back a year. Not saying I'm gonna use the comps for the full year. I'll be honest with you, pulling comps is an art, and everybody do it different, okay? But for me personally, I like to see trends. I like to see what's going on. And the reason why I do that is because of the fact of a lot of times you're gonna be getting rejections from from other investors when you're trying to sell these houses to them. And you want to know what's going on in the neighborhood. You want to know like the back of your hand, well, this house sold, 20,000 square foot, and you saying what your ARV is. It's like, yes, I'm saying that because of the fact that this house, it didn't have what these other houses sold for that I'm giving the projected ARV of. It wasn't as updated, it wasn't as nice. My rehab budget is there doing the exact same thing. These houses will sell for that right there just because of the fact I'm giving it enough in my budget, if that makes sense. Also too, another thing that you guys want to do, along with knowing the ARV, is going to take a look at the houses, right? That's another trick that I like to do. Obviously, you can see the pictures from off the MLS, but just drive by and just see what kind of curb appeal it has. Curb appeal is super important too, but also just driving by and just taking a look at the house, because sometimes it could be a situation to where like it's on a larger lot, or it's not, your street is not as busy, or that street is, that street is a little less busy than yours. These little nuances is going to be able to help you fully understand the neighborhood and what you're selling, right? Again, you don't know if you don't know, you ain't gonna be able to get top dollar if you don't know what you're selling. Next thing, commissions and fees. I mean, good rule of thumb, I would say 10 grand, okay? But it's really on you what you feel like your time is worth. And it's really on how deep you get the house. Commissions and fees is gonna vary from house to, to conditioner, to the rehab, to the area. So there's no set value or commissions or however you wanna put it, a fee. I like to think if I took 30 minutes to walk out and talk to a seller, I want to walk out with at least 10 G's. That's probably my bottom dollar. Have I done deals for less? I've done deals for free. So literally have done deals for free just the sake of a relationship and doing what I say I'm gonna do. But good rule of thumb, I would say just try to keep it around like 10 grand. If you can get 30 or 40 or 50, then God bless you, have at it. But I like to stick around that 10 G's. The next thing we're gonna talk about is expenses, and I'm talking earnest money and option money, okay? I hear a lot of times that you can buy real estate or put a contract on properties with no money down, or earnest money deposit and things of that nature. I guarantee you're gonna come across the wrong investor that you're gonna be competing against, and they know that's a complete lie and a joke, and they're gonna take your deal from you. You don't have an executed contract if you don't put up any money. I don't care if it's 50 bucks or 100 bucks or whatever you agree with, whatever you and that seller agree to that you're gonna put at the title company, put it with the title company, especially if you're dealing with agents, because the agents are gonna call, they're gonna verify that money's there. And then they're gonna hound you until you put it up, or they're gonna cancel the contract on you. So make sure that if you're putting up $1,000, make sure that you put that $1,000 up at title. You're gonna get the money back at the end of the deal anyway. So make sure you put that money there, okay? If it's 500, 200, whatever it is, make sure whatever monies that's involved that you're supposed to put it up. If you have an option fee, just say if you pay $20 for 7 days on an option or inspection period, give that $20 to that title company or give it to the seller, whoever you agree with. Make sure you get a receipt for this. Make sure you give it to them. If you have an inspection period or option period and that's in that contract and you didn't put the money up and you go to terminate, you don't have an option period, so that means you're gonna end up losing your money. It's gonna be a scary thing. I know guys personally that have done it in the past and end up losing their money. Especially, so if you're new, make sure you keep tabs on things like that. Option is super, super important, because if you go buy it, if you go past it, you're pretty much what I call hard now. So your money's hard, and you're gonna either have to sell that house or you're gonna lose the money. So it have happened to me back in the day too. So I've lost some money. The best teaching is when you lose money. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand, like, you don't want to lose your money when dealing with earnest option. The next thing that we're gonna talk about is knowing what the market is trading for. Kind of tricky. I would say the best rule of thumb is talk to some investors that you trust, right? Normally, and I still do this to this day, if I get a deal and I want to call a couple investors that I have done business with in the past, I just give them an area, a part of town, like, hey, I purchased this, I'm ready to buy this property out in Allen, Texas. It's in really good shape. I can shoot you over a couple of pics. You can take a look at it. In this current condition of this home, what's the max ARV you think I can sell it for, percent ARV? Can I get 85% for it? Can I get 80? Can I get 75? What you think the going rate is right now in this market? Ask a couple of people that you trust, or call up an agent that call up an agent that sold a house that's in similar condition, and ask them what they think you can sell for. Again, be transparent. Like, hey, get ready to purchase this property. This is the condition of the home. I see you sold a home in the same subdivision, similar condition. What you think I can get for it? Nothing wrong with that. Call about 3 or 4 people, pick their brain. It's gonna give you at least a roundabout average, and it'll make you feel a little bit more confident and comfortable as far as knowing how hard you can max it out. And the next thing is knowing what investors will pay for a house. crazy, crazy times that we're in right now with this, with the market, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Knowing what investors will pay for it, I mean, again, it falls in line with making some phone calls, reaching out to some agents that sold in that area, in that subdivision, knowing some investors that buy, okay? Right now, Dallas, supply and demand. If you can put your numbers together good enough, and if you got a good enough reputation and your numbers are on point, I mean, right now we're seeing people buy as high as 90 cents on the dollar, which is absolutely crazy right now in this market. But it makes sense to somebody that may be owner financing it, or they have like an extra strategy in mind that may not be just flipping or renting it out, or something like that. So everybody's different. You got to think. Everybody have different extra strategies. It's not just about wholesaling and flipping. So people have different extra strategies when doing this. What investors will pay for it? It's something that, again, you're gonna have to research. I would definitely call up a couple of agents. When you're getting a property under contract, you know when it's coming, a couple of days before, or at least the day before you're getting a property under contract. What the market will pay, what investors will pay for it, this is the time when you start to kind of dig and start to figure out. Again, we don't have to get full addresses, but there's nothing wrong with shooting some pics over and giving some air, and just giving like a little small area. And then kind of pick their brain and just see what they, just see what their numbers kind of fall in line with it, or at least a roundabout figure. You're not holding anybody to it, the number they have to pay. They just give me roundabout numbers, and to me, that's going to give you the best research. Always talk to the people that's playing, the people that's already in the game. Make sure you talk to them first. The next thing that we're going to talk about, which is the most important thing because it's going to get you paid, is how to formulate your offer. Okay, so we call it the MAO. Maximum allowable offer, okay? So I'm gonna do a cool thing with you guys, and I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible. But before I do that, again, know your areas, know your ARV, know what it's worth once it's fixed up. Understand your rehab. If you don't know your rehab, find some people that's gonna help you, right? Go to Home Depot, look at the cost of materials, see what it costs for different kind of flooring, see what it costs for gallons of paint, see what it costs for sheetrock. There's nothing wrong with knowing this stuff. Like, if this is going to be your business and this is what you're going to be doing, and this is what you have the ability to make a lot of money. So don't be afraid to figure it out a lot of these things for yourself. It's going to be I guarantee you're going to make a bunch of mistakes. If you ain't making mistakes, you ain't doing business. So you might as well get started with it now, and don't be afraid. But get you some contractors that's able to walk these houses with you. At least initially, until you start to understand what it's going to cost for a full scope of work. And it may take a while, it may take some years. It took me a while before I can walk into a house and stand in the doorway and tell you right off the bat what it's going to cost as far as rehab wise, okay? So we're going to do a quick thing with the maximum allowable offer. So I'm going to grab my phone and we're going to do a quick one. I'm going to give you a quick example. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys just some base, simple, arbitrary numbers that you can use. Just say, for example, the house is worth $100,000. Every market is different. So I'm gonna just go off, I'm gonna say 75%. You always wanna do this next, times 75% of the ARV. It's gonna take you down to 75,000, okay? So now you're gonna back down your repairs after. Just say you need 20 grand in rehab, minus 20 grand, right? It's gonna take it down to 55. So now you gotta back down your fee. So it's gonna depend on you. If you can get it for dirt cheap, then have at it. But I'm gonna just say I want to make 10 grand on this house, minus $10,000. It's gonna be 45K. So 45K would be my maximum allowable offer where I can offer the seller. Okay. Me personally, I probably go a little bit deeper and probably go closer to probably 40K. Just know I may get a counter unless you know for a fact that seller is gonna take that. Okay. So, but your maximum allowable offer, which you can lock this house up for and get a 10 grand fee, would be $45,000. Okay. I hope that helped. Along with that is other nuances outside of just the offer. Talk to them about the closing date. See if they need anything else. So it's not just about you making your quick 10 G's and just taking off, running off with the contract. Find out about leasebacks. Like, hey, you've been here for 20 years. It look like you got a lot of stuff. Do you need a leaseback? These are little things that's going to help you out, and these are things that can totally blow up a deal if you don't talk to the seller about. Okay, do you need a leaseback? What are you taking? What are you not taking? Are you going to completely clean the house out? Is it going to be broom swept? These are the things that you have to know. You got to talk to them about. You do need a lease back. Okay. How long do you need? 2 weeks? Okay, great. Okay, with the lease back, I'm going to take a deposit. You need things like that. Okay, do you want to, Okay, I'm gonna pay half. I'm gonna charge you half of the month rent. Okay, I don't know what the rent is currently. I'm gonna comp it, or the rent is $1,100 a month right now. So for the 15 days that you're here, I'm gonna charge you half that. I'm gonna charge you the current market rate of rent, half of it. You want to do little things like that. You want to know things like that, just because of the fact that whatever's on that contract that you agree upon, that's gonna go to your end buyer, and he's gonna want to see that contract. So make sure that you guys do little things like that. So it's just not about the cash, it's also about the things that go along with the offer. Along with that deposit too, also guys, make sure that is enough to make them want to leave that house, okay? There's nothing in the world worse than having somebody in the house and you didn't take enough money from them, because now you're gonna have a holdover tenant. The person's gonna turn into a holdover tenant, and now you just gave your investor a big time headache. Okay, so I would say good rule of thumb, at least in this market, I'm taking down at least 5 G's from them, and it's gonna be held at title. Let them know, like, I'm not keeping the money. It's gonna be held with the title company until you're out. Break it down to them. If you're not out by the 15th, that money's gone. You're gonna lose it. So be very upfront with them. You don't want no surprises. Show them on the contract what it's going to be. Again, if you're not out, and reiterate with them, tell them a couple times, like, hey, like, okay, so if you're not out by the 15th, understand you're subject to lose that 5 grand. Okay, let them know that. Again, the best time to get everything out in the open is when that contract is being signed, for there's no surprises. And then you're going to take that and you're going to explain that to whoever your investor is that's buying it. It's a 30-day lease back or 15-day lease back. I'm taking $5K. They're staying for 2 weeks, and I'm charging them $500 for them 2 weeks. That's simple. And it's in the contract. So there's no surprises at closing. I hope that helped you guys. I'll see you on the next module.